Listen to my voice, singing in the wind. Feel my gentle touch in the golden sunlight. I was born to love. Kiss your tears away, banish all your fears. Fill the world with joy. I am woman of the earth, spreading love and joy, fun and laughter. Woman of the earth, making miracles forever after. Loving, caring, working, sharing, teaching, singing, mothering. See my loving glow in a blushing flower. Watch my dreams take wings over sky so blue. I will save the earth and its every glory. I will teach my child every golden story. I am woman of the earth, spreading love and joy, fun and laughter. Woman of the earth, making miracles forever after. Loving, caring, working, sharing, teaching, singing, mothering. Woman of the earth. I am woman of the woman of the earth. I am woman of the woman of the Listen to my voice, singing in the wind. Feel my gentle touch in the golden sunlight. I was born to love. Kiss your tears away, banish all your fears. Fill the world with joy. I am woman of the earth, spreading love and joy, fun and laughter. Woman of the earth, making miracles forever after. Loving, caring, working, sharing, teaching, singing, mothering. See my loving glow in a blushing flower. Watch my dreams take wings over sky so blue. I will save the earth and its every glory. I will teach my child every golden story. I am woman of the earth, spreading love and joy, fun and laughter. Woman of the earth, making miracles forever after. Loving, caring, working, sharing, teaching, singing, mothering. Woman of the earth. I am woman of the woman of the earth. I am woman of the woman of the
We wish to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land. We acknowledge the waterways, the land, the sky, and all who inhabit this country. To hundreds of different nations across this continent, we pay our respects to their elders, present and future. We would like to extend that respect to the Aboriginal people as we acknowledge their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this country.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. A warm and green afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the biggest advocacy-driven beauty pageant in the country. This is Miss Earth Australia 2022. I am Jessica Marchi, your current Miss Air Australia and your host for today. First, I would like to thank our sponsor this afternoon, Megaworld International and Hyatt Regency Sydney, for bringing in the fourth batch of our national finalists to discuss their advocacies about the environment. And of course, Megaworld International is headed by the ever-energetic Ms. Liz Angeles, the Vice President for Asia and Pacific 3. Thank you very much. Also, to all our viewers who are watching live on our Miss Earth Australia Facebook page and also on YouTube, I want to thank you all and hello from wherever you are watching us right now. And please continue sharing your messages, your reactions, your feedback, your comments in the sections throughout all of this talk this afternoon, because we will bring up your comments and we will read them out and we'll speak with you. As our Mother Earth continues to heal in this said pandemic, it brings us joy. And despite this, the Miss Earth Australia advocacies continues and it's still alive and active. Yesterday, we've had our national finalists discuss about the marine biodiversity with our Miss Earth Australia, Phoebe. And this afternoon, our last batch of national finalists will be here for their environmental talk, which is poaching and illegal wildlife trade. Hunting and poaching animals is one of the leading drivers of biodiversity loss for mammals, birds, and some other species groups. It's the biggest threat. This risk is compounded by growing markets for wildlife trade, luxury foods, pets, and so on. In fact, some of the world's most charismatic species have already gone extinct as a result of wildlife trade. It's a complex problem, and it's actually nothing new because this is something that's been happening for years and years, for millennia. But the problem has been heightened by the population growth, increased connectivity to markets, and so on. But having said that, I will leave the girls to explain all of this, which leads me to introducing our amazing national finalists. I'm going to start with Robin from ACT. Hello, Robin. How are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and give us a little bit of a brief opening statement.
Of course. Hi, my name is Robin Russell. I'm 20 years old and I'm from the Australian Capital Territory. This year I am advocating for education around how individuals can reduce their carbon footprint. And today we have so much information that we can share, heaps of ways that we can all individually combat illegal wildlife trade and poaching as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. And the second national finalist that I'm going to introduce today is Kajol from New South Wales. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, fabulous.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kajol Arishma Chand. I am 20 years old and I'm from New South Wales. My advocacy is environmental degradation and plant-based diets. Environmental degradation is a term used to describe the loss of environmental quality brought on by processes and ambient pollution concentrations. While studying health science and clinical nutrition, focusing on plant-based diets can have a huge positive impact on the environment and your health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kajol. And our third national finalist, which is going to be the last one for today because we've got two missing today as they've got COVID and they're recovering. So we've got Naomi. Hello, Naomi. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what's your advocacy.
So my name is Naomi White, representing New South Wales. I'm 26. By occupation, I'm actually a flight attendant. So my advocacy has to do with flying greens, so the wonders of the world can be seen by future generations. So eco travel is what makes the world go around and gives us a world to go around.
I love that. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to kickstart the discussion this week. Our topic, poaching and illegal wildfire trade. So the historical impacts of human hunting on mammal populations has been very well documented. You only need to follow the timing of mammal extinctions events to trace the footsteps of human arrival across the world's continents. So We have seen a dramatic decline of whale population over the 20th century as a result of hunting, and other stark examples like blue whale was almost plunged into extinctions, losing 99% of its numbers, which leads me to my first question. What impact has hunting and wildlife trade had on animal populations in your opinion? Has, not had, sorry. Who wants to start? And let me repeat it in case it didn't make any sense. What impact has hunting and wildlife trade had on animal population in your opinion?
I can start with this one. So from memory, it's about 7,000 species are actually affected by this trade. With all the transportation and illegal smuggling of animals, you're bringing in animals to new countries that they're not suited for that ecosystem. They might be carrying some diseases as well that can be transmitted to other animals and humans as well. We did actually see that with coronavirus, where some of those animals were being eaten. And it's just something that keeps continuing. For Australia as well, you can see for the hawksbill turtle, the female resting population has declined by 80% over just the last decade. And those animals are very important for our Great Barrier Reefs.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a great answer. Does anybody want to add anything onto that?
Yes. Well, I believe the problem resulting is this could be reduction in species, which is in biodiverse forests as well, which can become to climate disturbances as well. And the effects of climate change, whether change in temperature or precipitation patterns, are more pronounced where there are fewer species left to react, I guess. And if some of them are unable to do so, end up drying off as well, and the ecosystem as well is a whole and more likely to fail.
Thank you for that. That was a great answer as well. Naomi, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, to elaborate on what Robin and Kajol have mentioned, so the zoonotic diseases such as COVID, and also it's affected us with major diseases such as Ebola and HIV. Another thing is that, yes, it does also affect the animals. It does harbor diseases onto them, especially with things such as poaching and illegal wildlife trade, because the poachers take these animals and pop them into an environment that is not known to them, and they harbor a disease and they cannot be put back into their own natural ecosystem to flourish, hence creating these diseases such as the shingleback lizard, which is common to our country, especially in WA. That was a significant example. And also, as you guys were saying before, it does affect our ecosystem, as every plant and animal have a place on this earth to, make it what it is. And so we can run and function as per usual. And for example, like mosquitoes, they seem useless, but they have their place in the world. So if you are tampering with that, with, interrupting through illegal wildlife trade and poaching, it does have a major impact globally.
Yeah, 100%. Very true. Yeah, no, that's really good. Thank you, girls, so much for that. Very, very insightful information. Well, we've got a question from Brittany. Australian, oh my goodness, I am sorry, everybody watching my eyes. Australian reptiles face serious conservation threats from illegal poaching fueled by international demand and the exotic pet trade. What do you think can be done to prevent this moving forward? Who wants to start with this? Kajol, did you want to start with this question?
Sorry. Yes, I believe in response to that, that's a great question. I guess impending the dangers of, poaching activities and getting strategic and meaningful measures need to be put on and to counter the effects. Maybe game management and other conservation programs across the world, and to curb the impact of poaching and other threats to wildlife. So that I believe that is really important.
Awesome. Robin, did you wanna add anything to that?
Yeah, so for Australian reptiles especially, they're very easy to smuggle. There's a lot of cases where what people will do, they will dismantle household objects like rice cookers or DVD players, and they will bind reptiles and pop them in socks and then in that just so they can get it through. So they go through a state where they're basically in hibernation to be transported. And it's really hard to actually go through all the scans at the airport and biosecurity when it's being transported. So pretty much the best ways to combat this trade is, I guess, pushing more on better systems to make sure we can actually pick up this during biosecurity. There has been some more that are going through. I know there's one called Wildfire that's being implemented, and it's analyzing keratins in different animals to see where they've been from, if they're bred in captivity or if it's stolen from their home. And then just awareness in general, making sure you know what the signs are and where you can report it if you do see anything like that or suspect anyone.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you. I wanted to continue. Oh, Naomi, yes.
I'd love to add to that. I know that there actually, so there is a person called Matthew Swan, and he works for the biodiversity department in WA, and he actually made a statement referring to exactly what we're talking about when in terms of exotic pet trade, especially as I mentioned before, the shingleback lizard is a very common one. And what they have done is, I know because I work at the airport, they have implemented 3D scanners to be able to try and delve and actually see into things such as the rice cookers and the DVD players that they get stuffed into. Also, I know in Melbourne, they've made a massive change with Crime Stoppers, where they have released information, for example, to assist people who are buying exotic pets, because we're actually allowed to own exotic pets, for example, in Australia, but tips they've given us would be to just make sure that they're under a licensed person, that they're not lethargic or they don't carry ticks, because that does show examples of captivity and that they were in the wild. So awareness is very big, and I think they are actually making effort with technologies and just simple facts that, you know, that we should know to help combat it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. With that, I wanted to say, we were talking about, like, obviously the wildlife trade is actually in some parts legal, but the illegal wildlife trade is, did you know that it's the 4th largest criminal industry after drugs, arms, and human trafficking? I just think that's crazy, and it's worth as much as $20 billion per year dollars. Anyway, the trade threatens international security, national sovereignties, and countless species. So with having said that, what I wanted to ask is, and we kind of discussed it a little bit, but not as much as in detail, I wanted to know, what do you think can be done to reduce this from happening and to be closer for the illegal part of this to basically be eliminated? Maybe not eliminated, but reduced. You know, we need to start somewhere. What do you think can be done? Who wants to start? Okay, I'm gonna pick. Robin, did you want to start? Or Kajol? Yeah, Kajol.
Sorry. I guess we should honestly ask before you buy anything, see if it's actually made out of, like, you know, not made out of snakeskin or so many other. It's pretty sad. I've watched a whole documentary. It's pretty disturbing as well. Or you could, like, just simply ask someone before you buy, or just check the you know, the back of the jacket or something. Or we could just stick to certified products as well. So making sure if you go overseas, you want to make sure there's a sticker on it and that says it's certified, that it's not been used for wildlife practices. So I believe that's the best two ones we could do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with that as well, I guess it kind of ties into that. What do you think we can do to protect our species?
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
What do you think we can do to protect our species?
I believe we just have to respect them in that sense as well, because we just have to follow rules and regulations. If we don't they'll be really impacted in the long run. And in 50 years time, there's going to be so many animals that's going to be extinct. And especially there's one northern rhino in southern Africa, and there's 2 more left, which is really disappointing. And yeah, it's really, really important that we respect them.
Yeah. Did you girls want to add anything to that, Naomi or Robin?
I do have a few things.
Yeah.
So kind of going on from what Kajol said with sticking to certified products, a lot of what you'll find in the illegal wildlife trade is so like the shells from turtles, for example, that'll be used in accessories and sold at souvenir stores. Always ask for certification, like Kajol said, if there's like the label on there as well. Some people will play dumb, be like, oh, it was definitely legal, but they don't have anything to prove it. And a really big thing as well that we can do individually is petition your local government. With hunting laws and poaching around Australia especially, each state has their different laws for everything. So trying to make something very unified that works for everyone and making sure that we can protect our environment and our animals.
Totally, 100%. That was a great answer. Did you want to add anything, Naomi, or?
I'll just quickly add if that's okay. So from my perspective, to do with my advocacy, when I travel, I recently went to Bali last week, and I find that a thing that we can do is be a savvy tourist. So when you go and, for example, go for activities, yes, the elephant riding does seem, eye-catching, but then again, we are promoting illegal wildlife trade. It is a wildlife crime. And another one I'd love to mention that people don't think about, when you go to a different country, they always have, exotic delicacies. We need to consider, where is this stuff coming from? For example, I know in Asia, they've got cobra infused wine. And yes, it's a great antidote to, tell to people like, oh, look, I drank this, but we don't know where that's from. We don't know how that animal was treated. So we really do need to take that into consideration. And the last one I'd love to mention, because I love my pet dog at home, and to be eco-friendly when it comes to buying a pet. There's heaps of databases online that actually you can pop in the sort of pet you have, and you can see, their welfare, any diseases that they might harbour that might affect, the environment you're in. So that's just simple ways that we can get involved from our behalf.
I love this. This is great. We're getting educated. You guys are teaching me a lot of things. I didn't know about a lot of stuff that you said. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can I ask, I was going to see if there was any comments from the people underneath, if they could come up on the screen. There we go. We've got one. Some people participate in illegal wildlife trade because they desperately need the money. How can we help guide those people to find other ways of income? Great question. Thank you, Monique. Okay, I'll leave you guys for a second to think, but does anybody want to answer this question? Naomi.
Perfect. So, so the idea of illegal wildlife trade, especially in places with low socioeconomic situations, they use wildlife as, their do all end all. It is their source of income. It is also their source of food through bushmeat. So what I like, through my own opinion and studies of this topic, I believe that you definitely need to, it depends on the place you're at. So I don't think, things need to be implemented specifically internationally, because people have different circumstances. So in, for example, like Africa and the Amazon, where this is more prominent, we need to try and, for example, get them involved, like, for example, being stewardship programs, and getting them to be guardians of like a certain protected area, which, creates jobs. It also makes them aware that wildlife is an asset rather than just a cost. So I definitely think the attitudes over time will change, these people's minds. And as they learn, I feel like that's something, if you get them involved and, get them to love something and give them a better, economic security, which is, I think, majority of the reason why they do commit these crimes, this is definitely going to help them in the long run.
Yeah, thank you. Did you girls want to add anything to that? If you don't,
That was
do.
amazing, Naomi. That's really good. I guess another probably couple ways we could do it is being aware, like information today. Just like just get your phone out and just quickly click away and have a look at what the ingredients are, or just maybe learn more about critical and endangered species as well, and understand the issues surrounding them as well. And another thing would be like to educate your families and friends on wildlife protection laws in your country, and because wildlife, like Naomi said, wildlife protections exist in like low socioeconomic countries like India as well, Philippines and Malaysia. There's so many more, and by that we could take action by saying no and checking the ingredients of the products you buy and making sure they're illegally supplied.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Mike, I wanted to ask you guys a question. What do you think trophy hunting is an ethical conservation tool? Is trophy hunting an ethical conservation tool? Which is, if you don't know, trophy hunting is basically trophy hunters pay large sums of money, often tens of thousands of dollars, to travel around the world to kill wild animals.
I do not believe it's an ethical conservation tool, because with that, like you said, it's heaps of money going into killing specific animals. You're removing them from their environment, and each animal has such an important role in their own ecosystems. A big one at the moment is echidnas for us, just because they're kind of considered exotic and rare since they're only in Australia and New Guinea. So having those and taking them away, well, they are pretty much influencing better soil and plant growth for us. So that's ruining something for us.
Definitely. I agree. Did you guys want to add anything, Naomi, Kajol, to this specific thing on trophy hunting?
I'll just quickly add. I was watching a documentary and they did studies. There were people from Southeast Asia at one point all coming in and doing trophy hunting, and claiming that they were doing it for simply what it was. And they did the studies and went back to these people to see if they had kept the rhino horns that they had won. And I think it was 86% had not, because they had lied and actually used that for their own means in terms of illegal wildlife trade. So I feel like people are definitely using it as an excuse. And this is how, the legal wildlife trade actually works. They use every tool they can to try and, overcome surveillance. And I think it's a poor excuse. And I don't think it's a good idea to help promote conservation. It's killing an animal for your own, accolades, which is, I don't think is right.
Totally. I 110% agree. Great answer. Thank you. Can I ask to put another of our beautiful comments up on the screen if anybody has a questions for our beautiful finalists? We've got a good luck from Nikki, Miss Water. So that's great. But we don't have a question, but that's fine. Okay. I can give you a question. Okay. So my question for you guys today is, so actually I want to give a little spiel. Hopefully that's all right. But so it's actually not illegal, like I was saying before, to trade in wildlife as long as scientists from CITES convention, from CITES, which is the global convention that regulates the wildlife trade, has evidence that the species population can support the trade. And it's a bit of a topic because I feel like some people are, I mean, I don't know how good that is for some people, obviously, to make that legal. At the same time, if it's regulated, it can work. But I want to know your thoughts because, like I said, some may find this distasteful, but wildlife products such as, medical and cosmetic products and different timber species sometimes are allowed. So what is your thoughts about some of these being legal, basically? If they're, if they're legal, what are your thoughts on that? Naomi?
So I know, yeah, as you were saying, there is legal wildlife trade. So when it comes to, for example, food, like fisheries and fish that aren't going extinct, and because, that is part of a lot of people's diets, I do agree on that. But for any selfish means, for example, I know that, the rhino horn is believed that it cures cancer in, Asia. And then there has been studies that, it absolutely has no medical benefits unless there's any, background behind it to back up exactly what it's doing. And if it's, that impact is, higher than us taking these, animals and plants out of their society and using them for our own means. It's only if it outweighs, like the benefits outweigh, and there is evidence that I do agree with some of it. But for things that are just, for example, just pure pleasure and leather goods, that sort of stuff, I think that's something we can control and we do not need to promote.
I agree. And did anybody want to add anything on to what Naomi said? Yes, Robin? And then Kajol? Sorry.
Well, adding on to what Naomi said with that as well, there's definitely some that are, I guess, humane. Domestic trading is usually fine in Australia, depending on what it is, but also making sure you're not relocating animals into climates they're not used to, because you still want to be safe. You don't want it to be selfish, not having exotic pets as well, things like that. But then everything else, depending on if it is following like your rules and regulations, state laws, everything like that, that does make enough sense. It is a very controversial topic, I guess, in general, but there is boundaries towards it when it does become selfish and illegal.
Yeah, awesome. And Kajol, did you want to add anything?
Yes, both of you are correct. I was going to say what Robin said, but I guess they are like wild animals, obviously approached in massive scale, but I believe there should be like a limit, or they should reduce the limit with rules and the regulations. And there's lots of keystone species within our ecosystem, and which can cause the entire ecosystem to weaken or even collapse. So it's really important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, as we are all talking about taking care of our environment, it is very timely that our sponsor this afternoon, Megaworld International, have done activities that preserve the environment and create awareness with regards to wildlife biodiversity. And whoever will win this year Miss Earth Australia will be able to fly to the Philippines, which is the home of Miss Earth International. How exciting! They will have a chance to visit the famous tropical paradise island in the Philippines, which is the Boracay Islands. One of the key projects of Megaworld International is also located in the Paradise Islands, the Boracay New Coast. This is a master planned township that preserves the natural beauty of Boracay, and at the same time, it builds a sustainable community in the island. Now, aside from using environment-friendly construction materials and techniques, Megaworld International has so many environmental initiatives in this project that foster long-term preservation of the island. To name a few, one, for example, is the township project as its own treatment plant to prevent the waste discharge to the sea. It also uses the recycled water from the plant itself to irrigate the gardens within the community. Another thing that it does is the township has solar-powered streetlights and serviced by electric vehicles. And lastly, the township has done multiple special cleanup drive along the island, the 3 kilometers famous coastline, and have preserved hundreds of full-grown trees in the community, which includes some trees listed as endangered species. And our next Miss Earth Australia will be so lucky to visit this green community in the future. And this is so exciting, and I'm so excited to whoever that's going to be. And I wanted to continue the discussion by asking you girls a few other questions, which I will leave to hopefully one of the comments underneath. And we've got my eyes. Guys, I'm only 28. A question from Erin. what can we do to stop illegal wildlife trade? Which we did kind of touch base on that, but we can elaborate on it a little bit more. Who wants to start with this question? Robin.
So there's heaps of things we can do, but I guess understanding it is the main thing that can lead to any change. So education around it and awareness is the biggest thing for it. But to stop it in general, demand is where the crime lies, right? If we're supporting businesses who are illegally trading wildlife, that's going to keep them sustained. We don't want to buy any products from them. Don't buy any fake products that mimic the designs as well, because it's still showing that you support the design. So they're still going to sell the real thing at a higher price as well. And then building on what we all said earlier, so sticking to certified products if you do buy anything that is an animal product, and then petitioning your local government, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Kajol?
That was amazing, Robin. I guess promoting initiatives that change consumer behavior and reducing the demand of illegal wildlife products would be one. And probably putting a bit more pressure on the government as well to improve and enforce the regulations to make it possible to end the illegal wildlife trade probably once and for all, which would be probably better. And and with poaching, I guess we could supporting the teams of rangers and local communities who can put their lives on the line to protect the elephants and other wildlife from poachers. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. I guess with that, since we're talking about illegal wildlife trade, do you think the penalties are harsh enough for illegal traders and poachers?
Could you repeat that again?
Yeah. Do you think penalties are harsh enough for illegal traders and poachers? And I can start. Yeah, whoever. Let's go.
I believe it's not as much. I believe we could increase that 100%. And for example, they increase the security for the northern rhinos in southern Africa. I think in Kenya, southern Kenya. And so if we could do that a bit more and regulate more rules and probably just promoting more initiatives and changing the consumer behaviors.
Yeah, awesome. That was great. Thank you so much. Robin, yeah?
So building on what Kajol said as well, I know in Australia that it's up to 10 years of imprisonment for illegally trading any of our native animals. But even then, that's not going to deter people who are in this business. Those the penalties need to be a lot stricter, a lot firmer, and they need to push it more. There has been a decline in it from Australia as far as I know, but even then it's still going to have people going because there's so many ways they can find loopholes around it and keep promoting their own business.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, Naomi?
I'd also like to elaborate on what the girls were saying. I feel, yes, we do have laws implemented, but I think there needs to be a stronger push to have a synergy between Commonwealth and state governments so that we can enforce and make sure that, overall jurisdictions that, they have the same laws, because in certain places, as we said, there are loopholes. And in most of the cases, sadly, poachers do get caught, but we also need to consider the masterminds that are sitting there and connecting all the dots and sending these poachers to do it, because they're the ones who are controlling these poachers are just doing the dirty work. And hence, that's why it's such a high crime, because there is a low risk for this trade, unfortunately. So we do need to definitely push for it, because I don't feel like the right people are getting catched. And when we get those masterminds down, that's when a decline, I think, will definitely happen.
Yeah, no, that's very true. So with that, then, who do you think should be responsible for the laws, national, state, or local governments then, and why? Great point, Naomi. The communication between the state and Commonwealth government is I can't say that word. I'm foreign. Anyway,
small. I can't say.
Small. But yeah,
I personally feel like it's a combined effort. It definitely needs to start with the local governments, and then from local influence that will push for petition and research into certain technologies that will help combat these things. So I do believe it has to start at a local level before it even gets to Commonwealth, but step by step we will definitely get there, but it all starts locally, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys think that we are doing as a population, do you feel like people are aware of wildlife trade? Do you feel like there's enough information for people to know that this is happening? Or do you think we should be, having a little bit more awareness about this topic? Because personally, I don't feel like there is enough out there. But what are your thoughts on it? Yeah, Kajol?
Just one thing. I believe if you're traveling, like Naomi, I know you work, but when traveling, I know the only place I know about wildlife trading is when you tick the there's a sheet you get before coming to Australia. You get it, so you have to tick the box if you're getting any trade. That's the only time I can see it, and otherwise, I don't think people really know about it. And even when I was young, I didn't think it was possible. I was like, who would want who would want like animal stuff? So like I was very confused, and obviously researching about it is pretty shocking. And it's like how many people does like do all of this, and it's just pretty shocking. Yeah. So I believe we need to really increase this information to the world.
Yeah, the awareness and the amount of money that is involved in this trade, that I feel like if you don't research it, you wouldn't even know. And you wouldn't even know that it's one of the most, like I said, the fourth most criminal. Like you wouldn't think that unless you read it somewhere, and it's not something that's really spoken about as much as we should. But yeah, did you guys want to add anything on to that? Yeah, Robin?
I completely agree with what Kajol is saying with that. There's just not enough, advertisement around it and education. You'll see a lot of people nowadays will be on social media, but there's nothing coming up talking about it. So you won't really be aware that it is an issue that is also affecting us. A lot of people live in a day and age where it's mainly around them. Everyone's pretty selfish in general, where they're focusing on what's affecting them personally. This affects everyone really, but no one really realizes it because it's not right in front of you. You don't really see it as much on TV or anything like that compared to other issues that are going on. And there is so many different things we do have to balance with the information that's being spread. It's so hard to be aware of everything because there's a lot that happens in the world at the same time. But definitely pushing more information around this topic is something we can all do as eco warriors as well. We can all advocate for it. We can talk more about it. Live streams like this, it's so beneficial to everyone.
Totally, 100%. I agree. And even putting awareness on our social media platforms as well. We've got a question from Mel. Do we know what country has the most illegal wildfire trade? Why do you think this is the case? Does anybody know and they want to answer this question? Because you will educate me as well, because I actually don't know. Do you girls know?
I think it may be China from my research, because I've read that there's like prominent wares of the black market, including ivory from elephants and rhino horns, tiger bones, pelts, I think shark fins as well, and bear biles. But I think China is like the highest one. I think the case is probably they don't have many rules there, and I mean it's pretty sad. I don't think they have any rules and regulations. The only rule I know they probably have prominent, which is the overpopulation in China.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. I don't think they just have rules at the moment. Yeah. They're not, I mean, they're not taking it really seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for educating us all on it. Did you girls want to add anything, or well done, Kajol? Yay. Okay, if you don't have anything to add, I have another question. It's okay, which one do I go first? I'm going to go with Monique. It's great to see that many countries have banned animals used for entertainment, example circuses. That's true. What are your thoughts on this? Great question. Thanks, Monique. Do you want to start, Naomi? or does anyone else want to start if you don't want to start?
Yeah, I can start.
Okay.
As I was saying before, and about the like when I was overseas in Bali, and they glamorize the idea of riding on an elephant, and for example, how Monique was talking about the circuses. It is. I'm happy. I'm so happy that they are trying to ban these, because animals are meant to be frolicking in paddocks and living their life. They have enough pressure as it is being used as our food. I don't think they need to be doing tricks in a circus for us. I think we need to start appreciating wildlife in their natural habitat, because it's unnatural. And imagine if we had to do something like that, that'd be so bizarre. So we need to actually have a heart towards these animals and actually have an emotional side towards it, because if not, we will never understand, because animals can't speak, and I wish they could and tell us exactly how they feel, but they can't. So we need to advocate towards banning these sort of things, because animals are beautiful as they are, and I do agree with the banning of these atrocities.
Yeah, same. I agree. Thank you so much for that. Robin, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I completely agree with this as well. It's amazing to see that it is starting to be banned for entertainment purposes. Not as only is it inhumane, like animals will get treated horribly when they're in the circus. They're constantly traveling back and forth. They're prone to sickness, all of that, and they're generally poached as well, if not actually illegally traded. But it's a really great area for that one. And with that as well, the animals that they do take, building on elephants, like Naomi was saying, some breeds of elephants, they grieve when their loved ones are gone, just as we do as humans. Imagine having that happen to us, and then we're being poked and prodded for entertainment. It's not a good thing, but it's great to see that it is starting to go away.
Yeah, totally, 100%. Yeah, totally agree. Kajol, did you want to add anything, or I can move on to the next question? Oh, good. Okay. What do you girls think of the role of the zoo industry in preventing poaching and illegal wildlife trade? I can repeat it if you want. You got it? Yeah, Naomi?
So I know there's a bit of controversy about zoos and keeping them in cages and etc. But for example, Taronga Zoo actually have an amazing initiative, and Robin, you did touch on this before. It's called Wild Enforce, I'm pretty sure, and it's a campaign that is trying to study the keratin in animals to be able to recognize, for example, if an echidna eats something, they take their quail and they can find almost 100% exactly where they've been, if they've been bred in captivity, etc., like that. And you can donate, like, I think the minimum is $2. And so to be honest, yes, maybe zoos around the world, there might be certain implications, but there are actual like conservations and zoos that are trying to help combat, for example, illegal wildlife trade. So it just depends. It'd be nice that we're all on the same page, and that they're all trying to obviously have conservation sites for these animals. So from what I've seen with the Australian zoos, they've made an effort, which is great. Hopefully that can spread towards a global scale.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that too. I definitely think, for example, Taronga Zoo has definitely made an effort. Did you girls want to add anything as well onto this topic? Yeah, Robin? And then Kajol, if you wanted to say anything too.
Yeah, completely agree with what Naomi said again with that one. With Wildforce, it's really good to see that it is being implemented, but you will find that illegal wildlife trade is still present in some of the zoos, specifically smaller ones that aren't government funded or anything like that, because that's where a lot of the profit will come from. It kind of fuels everything again. So it's another gray area with the trade, but making sure the zoos that you do visit, they generally will have information around where they got the animals, talking about all of that as well. So just making sure they are actually certified. It's not a personal zoo. Back ages ago when there was like Tiger King, none of that was really ethical. That's a good example of wildlife trade and zoos. So making sure that we are going to places like Taronga Zoo, Australia zoos are actually really reputable for it. But yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. Kajol?
Nah, that both of Naomi and Robin, they're really, really correct. And yeah, Robin really answered my part. But I would say that yeah, once again, like probably just reading if the information is correct, where they got the animals from, and there's always obviously pros and cons to every topic we talk about. So, but I believe Australia is doing a great job with the zoos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You guys really captured that very well. Thank you so much. We've got a question from Brittany. In Australia, to keep native animals as pets, you typically require a license. In New South Wales, there are only 2 species of mammals that can be kept as pets under license, plains mouse and spinifex hopping mouse. Do you think adding more species to the list will reduce poaching risks? Robin, did you want to answer that? I saw you nodding, thinking.
I actually do think it would, because a lot of the time poaching will be fueled by, it's something you can't do, right? It's kind of reverse psychology. If you give them lists of species you can actually legally have, then you'll have more education around how you can look after them. It won't be a dangerous environment for them. Yeah, just a lot more education around that in general, and it's less likely to have people poaching said animals.
Yeah, very good point. I agree with that. Did Naomi or Kajol, did you guys want to add anything to that? Yes, Naomi?
I believe it can work both ways. I feel like it could possibly lead poachers to see the value in these amazing animals that are, native to our country and you can't find it anywhere else. Because I know there's been cases where poachers from overseas have broken into people who have licensed pets and have taken those pets and taken it back to their country and sold it for $15,000 on the black market. But on top of that, there is also a bright side to it. If we do, have more animals on this list, you have more people who are more enthusiastic to, care for these pets. Like, I love my dog so much, and I can imagine how much someone who wants this pet will also take care of them also. So we're putting them into a safe environment, I guess, because they'd want the best for them. So it goes both ways, in my opinion.
Yeah, very true. Okay, well that's great. I think we're gonna have time for one last question. And my question is, what do you think are the requirements to be on endangered or threatened list? On an endangered or threatened list. The requirements to be on that one. Do you want to give it a go, Kajol? Yeah, she's like, well, I didn't really put my hand up, but if I must.
No, it's fine. I guess there obviously is, in general, there's a high risk of extinction. But with the species, I believe you're going to undergo a geographic distribution in the diversity, making sure it's not affected by the threatening process. There is many endangered species. I guess you just so confused with this question, but
I guess, like, for example, like the requirements. So, like, for instance, like an animal that has, for example, like Taronga Zoo has the seals, is because the seals were endangered, and trying to help in that sense. So, like, what would make an animal be on an endangered list? Like, why would it be on that list? I guess, what is a requirement that would make them on an endangered list?
Endangered. Well, I believe all animals are, but we're going to make sure that you read the list and make sure that, Taronga Zoo is doing a great job in general, but I guess that's the an area of occupancy, or how many are remaining in the wild. So you want to make sure of that list as well. And do they have the ability to recover without a human intervention? So that's one thing as well.
Yep. Awesome. I will then now, I think we may have a little bit like more time for just one more question, which is coming up on the screen. From Mel, how can we educate our children about wildlife conservation? Did you want to answer, Kajol? Yes, no, maybe?
Sure. I
No, I
guess
saw the hand go up and then I saw
that's fine.
it.
I guess you could go exploring and teach your children by, like, you have to go identify your local plants, trees, go outside, educate the animals that you may encounter in your walks. And another thing is that you could go to like homeschools or online courses. Even Taronga Zoo has an educational platform where you could just take your children and they could just be alone. You could just take them out, just pay a bit. You've got to pay a bit, but it's really, really worth it. I went to an excursion when I was younger, and we were able to, like, hold some snakes and just learn and have the full information about every single species in the zoo. And I think it's really amazing.
Yeah, totally. And I also
And
think
we also
like,
have online. We have our phones as well. Just show them on YouTube as well. So it's pretty big.
yeah, and I also think like doing, for example, like fun activities like in kindergarten or something with kids, and you can do activities where you teach them things and they're having fun while they're learning at the same time. So it's subconsciously they're learning about all of this as well. Naomi or Robin, did you want to add anything on this? Yes, Robin?
Definitely agreeing with what Kajol said as well, with like your excursions and everything. 'Cause kids don't have a great attention span generally. So getting them out of school, actually getting them to be hands-on and being talked to, have some activities, it's a really effective way to teach them. And now as well, these days, a lot of kids are learning from like cartoons and things like that. There's a lot of subliminal messaging through them. I think it's Bluey is a really big one that keeps popping up on my social media as well. It's for kids, but there's some very in-depth and heavy topics that they talk about. So things like that. So social media is a really big, powerful way. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay, well, thank you so much. And Naomi, did you want to say anything, or I feel like we've covered it, but if you want to add anything, this is the last chance.
Yeah. So what all you amazing ladies have said is correct. I just want to add, just to remember that, what we learn as children, we harvest, for the rest of our lives. So with all, just acknowledging all that you've said, it's all correct, and we're all on the right path, which is great.
Awesome. Okay, well, look, as we are really close to end this live, I want to say the remaining wild species on Earth need our voices. I genuinely really feel like awareness is step number one with everything, and I feel like a lot of people are not aware. So we must make a fuss that creates pressure. When you have pressure, people move and people action things. So the pressure needs to be felt by policymakers, finances, brands, platforms, other factories, and everyone potentially to help track and stop illegal wildlife products and welfare. So yes, a big increase of awareness, I think, is step number one, political will. And so my question is, how can we get involved? And I think how we can involve is by being super vigilant about suspicious ingredients or products for sale, like what you guys were talking about before, also checking the tags, things like that, especially for e-commerce, in an e-commerce context. I mean, there's a lot of brands out there right now that I'm thinking, I'm not too sure. Without naming any names, and report anything really that we are worried about, that you're worried about. And I think that's step number one, awareness. Now, I'm going to be asking each one of you for your parting statement. I'm going to start from the same person that we started this live with. So, Robin, if you would like to give us your parting statement.
Thank you everyone for joining today. I hope you can leave today's live stream with a little bit more education, you're a bit more aware. If you do anything today as well and take this information, please let everyone around you know as well. It is something that still affects us on a daily basis, even if it doesn't seem like it directly affects you. It's affecting everyone, it's affecting the world. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you so much. And Kajol.
Once again, everyone, thank you so much. I focus on environmental degradation and plant-based diets, not to say you have to be vegan, but at least one meal a week would be amazing for the environment and for yourself. Today has been amazing. We could talk for hours and even days about this, but anyways, appreciate all for you coming on live today, and all the best to to all the beautiful contestants, and hope to see you all on Coronation Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And lastly, but not least, Naomi.
I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this today and getting involved. The fact that you have come and watched this is the first step, to making a change and supporting, us with our advocacies as well. Just wanted to remind you, Coronation is in 1 week. It's super exciting. I hope you guys can join us, and just a massive thank you and have a blessed Sunday.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Thank you so much to all of the national finalists and all 3 of you today. You guys have been amazing, absolutely amazing. I also would like to thank our sponsors for this afternoon, which is Megaworld International and Liz Angeles, Vice President for Asia and the Pacific 3. I'm also going to be thanking the Hyatt Regency Sydney, which is the official residence partner for Miss Earth Australia 2022. Also, thank you, Stargazer Productions, license holder and owner of Miss Earth Australia, headed by our lovely National Director, Julieta De Leon. Also, a massive thank you to all of you viewers that are watching, for your comments, for your reactions. Without you, maybe I wouldn't know as many questions to ask them. So thank you. And I'm also going to invite all of you guys next week, like Naomi just said, for the Grand Coronation. How exciting. Please come. We are all going to be there. The beauty queens from last year are going to be there and the years before. So come. And also a quick reminder that to everybody to vote in the online voting that's still open. And with that, I am going to wish you guys an amazing end of your Sunday. Thank you so much, girls. Once again, you've been absolutely amazing. And we will see you next week at the Grand Coronation. Bye.